Invincible versus Ben 10. Two teen heroes with the powers of a god. But today, well, they're facing off against each other. But in this fight, well, who's going to be coming out on top? Who'll win it all? And really, is it even gonna be close? Let's get into it. And starting out, well, let's spend a bit of time talking about everyone's favorite Viltrumite, Invincible. So for starters, well, why are the Viltrumites so stinking powerful? Well, it's because they have access to smart atoms, molecularly the same as normal atoms, but they give access to all sorts of power on the atomic level. And Viltrumites are unique because they can use smart atoms for a whole lot of different powers. Super strength, super speed, flight. They're the only race in the universe to have smart atoms literally encoded inside their DNA. That's what makes them so powerful. And just how powerful are they? Well, with super strength, most higher tier Viltrumites are in a class all their own, like Conquest. Well, he can casually bust out of solid 400-ton solid steel blocks encased all around his body, as well as 6 miles of earth caving in on top of him. And even that's not enough to overpower Invincible. Invincible and Conquest had some of the greatest fights in the entire series, leveling towns, busting apart mountains, creating whole new canyons, and basically terraforming the planet as a result of their showdowns. Invincible came out on top both times, beating Conquest and eventually killing him. During his fight against Invincible, well, Omni-Man was punching Mark so hard that he was shaking entire mountains and doing this repeatedly. In fact, Omni-Man was sending Mark flying all over the planet, causing earthquakes each time that he landed. But while Invincible definitely got dominated in that first fight, that actually didn't stay that way for long. In fact, there was a moment later in the series when Mark decided to arm wrestle against his dad. While his dad won, it was actually because Mark let his dad win. Mark saw that they were being watched, and he didn't want anyone to question the legitimacy of his dad's claim to the throne because his son was stronger than him. Omni-Man later explained that doesn't really work that way, but it does suggest that Invincible had surpassed Omni-Man in strength by this point. There have been plenty of instances where people have said that Viltrumites are able to destroy worlds, even physically tear them apart with their bare hands. You know what? We've actually seen that. Omni-Man, Invincible, and Thaddeus all teamed up to destroy the planet Viltrum, which is roughly twice the size of Earth. They busted it apart just by flying straight through it. So yeah, the higher tier Viltrumites are incredibly powerful, and Invincible is basically the strongest and most powerful out of all of them. He got a few upgrades throughout the series. First off, when he actually started working out, that began to increase his strength. Then after his first fight with Thrag, when Thrag nearly killed him, well, Adam Eve rebuilt his body back and stronger than ever, to the point where now Invincible could actually challenge Thrag straight up. He could throw 100,000-ton spaceships into lower orbit, decapitate some of Thrag's kids, or kill them with just 1 or 2 hits. They were literally splattering against him and killing themselves just by trying to hurt him. And at the end of the series, he didn't just beat Thrag in a fight, but he also beat Alan the Alien in just a few hits, who's just as powerful as the strongest Viltrumites out there. One time in a crossover event that is canon, Invincible managed to push a moon out of its orbit and send it hurtling into the surface of Mars. Yeah, no doubt about it, Mark ends up being the strongest hero in Invincible. It's also insanely tough. Like, really tough. Before he even started working out, well, Mark was able to be hit with electricity 10 times as powerful as lightning, meaning that it was 500,000 degrees, or the same heat as the second hottest part of the sun. And after he began working out, Invincible survived a special nuke that the Mahler twins came up with that was like a million nukes all packed into one. Invincible survived. He's taken punches from Solar Man in a crossover, a dude who's a casual planet buster. He survived explosions that legit vaporized a city. Not destroyed, vaporized. He took blasts from Universa and her staff. Staff so powerful that it could destroy the world and drain the planet dry. Even in his final fight against Thrag, while Invincible and Thrag legit fought in the sun for 23 pages straight in the comic. They were in the sun up to 2 million degrees Fahrenheit. Not just that, but surviving solar flares, which erupt with the force of millions of nuclear bombs. And while Invincible did need Robot to come in and save him so he didn't burn up, it's still incredibly impressive that he was able to survive for just as long as he did. Then lastly, speed. And all Viltrumites are able to ignore gravity and move around at faster than light speeds, as they're actually able to bypass the speed of light altogether by subspace jumping their atoms. And Invincible can definitely do this, move at faster than light speeds. In fact, he's one of the fastest ones there is, even just busting through that planet Viltrum, while Invincible had to move faster than light speed to do it. And this is just common routine for Mark. While he's flying around or even during his fights against other Viltrumites, he's repeatedly moving at faster than light speeds. No question about it. At the end of the day, Invincible is without a doubt the strongest, most powerful Viltrumite out there, and he definitely proved that by the end of the series, beating Thrag in a fight in the sun. He's massively faster than light speed. He's class Z in terms of lifting strength, meaning he can lift moons or small planets. He's durable enough to survive small planet level attacks, and is powerful enough to dish out small planet attacks in return. Basically, Invincible comes in at small planet level in power. No doubt about it, he is the greatest Viltrumite there is. Ben Tennyson was a rather unremarkable kid who was about to go on what could be the most boring summer road trip ever, with his granddad and a cousin he could barely get along with. However, it just so happens that one of the most powerful devices in the universe crashed into Earth, physically bonding with him and giving him the ability to transform into 10 different alien forms. So it turned out to be a much more interesting summer than he could have ever imagined. From fighting petty criminals, to being chased down by an intergalactic criminal warlord, to even saving the universe. And even then, it was only the start. Ben's adventures would span years, going all the way to his time as a teenager, making allies out of his family, and even his former arch-nemesis, Kevin 11. Ben's powers all come from the Omnitrix, the creation of the most intelligent mind in the universe. While it was originally a tool for peace, allowing species to walk a mile in another's shoes, of course it was twisted to becoming a tool of destruction and a weapon of war. But when it crashed into it on Earth, well, Ben was able to use it for another purpose altogether, to become a hero. The Omnitrix allows Ben to instantly transform into any alien, gaining all the powers and abilities of the alien in the process. And while it originally was limited to just 10 different aliens, now Ben has over 70 different aliens at his disposal, although technically in canon, he actually has over 1 million different aliens, just that we've only ever really seen 70 of them. Whenever Ben has master control over the Omnitrix, well, he can instantly switch into any alien that he wants at any time. He no longer has a time limit that he has to abide by. And the Omnitrix is so overpowered that if Ben is ever in life-threatening danger from an attack, well, the Omnitrix will instantly transform him into any alien that would allow him to survive that attack. Now, Ben has quite a diverse set of aliens, so I think the easiest way to talk about it would be more in general terms. Super strength, super speed, flight, energy projection, and then how Ben is able to use each of his aliens for that. Like with super strength, well, he's got aliens like Way Big or Humongosaur, or even Ultimate Way Big or Ultimate Humongosaur. Humongosaur is able to casually knock over buildings. He could probably level whole towns, and even then can easily throw things into outer space. And Ultimate Humongosaur is so much more powerful that he can easily fodderize normal Humongosaurs. And then Way Big is just, well, big. And he's so powerful that again, he can casually throw things into outer space, no problem. And generally is just able to easily pick up and mess up anyone in his path. And Ultimate Way Big, well, he can fight against straight planet-destroying level villains and throw them around. Sure, a lot of Ben's aliens have some level of super strength. There are even other big bruisers that he'll rely on. I'm looking at Forearms, Diamond Head, guys like that. But if Ben needs to get into a big fist fight and is taking it seriously, well, these are the two aliens that he'll call on, and they're very powerful. Now, there are also some aliens that are just plain tough and durable, like for instance, Cannonbolt. When he turns into a ball and starts rolling, well, he's dang near indestructible. Almost nothing can stop him. Or there's even a different kind of durability with someone like Goop, an alien who's essentially just a giant pile of jelly, and so he can reform himself at any time and from anything, allowing him to survive essentially any attack. Then of course there's speed too, with aliens like Fast Track and Accelerate, even Jet Ray. Ben is able to easily dodge attacks and run faster than the eye can see. When it comes to physicality, Ben has a ton of options to pull from. Then of course, don't even get me started on Ben's other powers. He's got electrokinesis, telepathy, telekinesis, gyrokinesis, radiokinesis, and atomic manipulation, energy absorption and manipulation, the ability to create constructs into force fields, time travel and time manipulation, gravity manipulation and magnetic manipulation, and technology manipulation, cosmic power generation, and he can actually literally turn your dreams into nightmares or even leave you in a fear-induced coma with just a glance. Basically, anything that you can think of, Ben probably has an alien that can do it. And with the Master Control unlocked, well, he's easily one of the most powerful heroes out there in the universe. So who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, no doubt about it, Invincible starts out this fight as the more powerful one out of the two. That's because, one, Mark is really powerful, and two, Ben just jobs a lot. He doesn't take fights seriously all the time. Sometimes he just picks the weirdest aliens to start out with in a fight, and that's just not the best way to start out when you're fighting against arguably the most powerful Viltrumite ever. But Ben 10 and the Omnitrix are insanely OP, and at some point or another, well, Ben 10 is taking over this fight. I mean, it could go as far as Invincible beating on Ben so badly that he's straight up on the verge of death, and the failsafe in the Omnitrix is triggered where it has to keep Ben alive, and so it instantly and automatically selects the best alien for the job. And surprisingly, that failsafe trigger even extends to a speed blitzed hand through the chest. The Omnitrix is really powerful, and it really doesn't want Ben to die. So it's going to do everything it can to prevent that from happening. It's even saved Ben from a Big Bang explosion. Seriously, Ben 10 survived the Big Bang. But that's just like an extreme situation. If Ben is taking the fight seriously, well, it really shouldn't get to that. Invincible is a physical powerhouse, but that's kind of all he is. Meanwhile, Ben is one of the most versatile heroes you're ever gonna see. And even in terms of physicality, well, he's got enough aliens with enough physical power to match up against Invincible. I mean, Ultimate Way Big is strong enough to casually fight against planet destroying villains and even destroy planets himself. He'll be able to hold its own against Invincible in a fight. But physical aliens isn't how Ben is going to win here. Like Ben has aliens like Clockwork and Atomics. Clockwork, who can completely manipulate the very flow of time itself, and theoretically turn Mark into dust. And Atomics, who's essentially a walking nuclear reactor and is commonly known as Ben's second most powerful alien. And Mark didn't do too well fighting in the sun. Or there are other aliens like Feedback, who absorbed a Big Bang and turned it into an energy blast that ended up scattering the guy hit across the timeline. Gravitack managed to trap a creature that can move at the speed of light and age things to dust in a gravity well that resulted in a black hole that destroyed the Earth. NRG is immune to physical damage, it's radioactive, and gets more powerful the more radiation he eats. Echo Echo is one of his most broken aliens in most fights because his sound waves pretty much scramble anyone's brains, which would be very, very effective against Invincible, as we've seen he's not too great with sound waves. Then you can unleash Ultimate Echo Echo, it's all over. And another one of his most broken aliens, Pesky Dust, can lock you in your worst nightmare and go into said nightmare. That's not even going into his useless aliens like Topic, who is so ugly that you pretty much objectively will go mad seeing him. And Pesky Dust and Topic are able to use their powers on celestial sapiens, the same aliens as Alien X. So these same powers should definitely work on Invincible as well. There's even the option for Ben to just scan Invincible with the Omnitrix, get access to Viltrumite DNA, then transform into an ultimate Viltrumite. So Mark just ends up fighting a more powerful version of himself. And then, of course, worst comes to worst, and he goes Alien X, who's literally just a god. He's able to survive universal destruction, then completely recreate the universe. Yeah, Ben 10 is, unironically, a universal level hero. And for as powerful as Invincible is, well, he's not the most powerful alien that Ben 10 has ever fought. And if Ben is taking the fight seriously, he's definitely gonna take it. Ben 10 wins.